Hello everyone, I'm Jack Fisher and welcome to my world. And I don't deny that that world is a big, strange, often overwhelming place, and that says nothing about the universe as a whole. I also understand that we all live in our respective worlds for a brief span of time relative to the age of the planet and the human species in general. And within that life, we all learn, grow, and adapt in our own ways. Some do change more than others, but for the most part, we are not the same person at 50 as we are at 15. And for me personally, I find that as I get older, I've come to grasp certain truths that are somewhat harsh. A few are even downright infuriating on some levels. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it, that doesn't make any of them less true. We can't always grasp these truths when we're young, ignorant, and inexperienced. We have to live life in this crazy world for a certain number of years before we can truly see the forest from the trees. Now, I am not a teenager anymore. I'm not even in my 20s anymore. But I'm also not what most people would consider an old man. I also suspect I'll encounter plenty more harsh truths along the way. Some may even hit harder than others. A few probably won't even emerge until I'm too old to do anything about them. I just won't know for sure until that time eventually comes. But for now, I thought I'd take a moment to share some of the harsh truths I've learned with you, my wonderful YouTube audience. So if you're an idealist or a realist, I urge you to brace yourselves, because here are 10 harsh truths that I've learned thus far in my life. Now rest assured, I've liked to learn much more than just 10, but these are just the most prominent life lessons that I feel are worth sharing. 1. The world owes you nothing. Do not expect it or anyone in it to accommodate you. You yourself are ultimately responsible for making the most of your opportunities. Now, this lesson is something everyone learns once they start working for a living. If you're lucky, you'll learn it at a young age and adapt accordingly. But all too often, people enter the adult world unprepared and ill-equipped, still expecting the world to accommodate them as if they were kids. Unless you're obscenely rich or powerful at birth, that will not happen. And it really does help to accept that sooner rather than later in life. 2. A lot of success requires a certain amount of dumb luck. Hard work, patience, and persistence are certainly a factor, but meeting the right people and being in the right situation tends to be a lot more decisive. It's another harsh truth that people in the working world learn quickly. Just look at anyone who finds success, even on a basic level. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with how hard they work, and has more to do with how they present themselves, how they conduct themselves, and yes, a certain amount of dumb luck. And most of us have very little control over that. We can certainly help ourselves by having good habits and mindsets, but that'll only go so far when it comes to achieving real success. 3. Nobody's first instinct is to do things the hard way. For the most part, people will always take the path of least resistance when it comes to challenges, change, and hardship. Now, this is a lesson that will help you make sense of the world, at least in terms of how people conduct themselves in large groups. Ideally, you'll want people to do the right thing, or even the most logical thing in any given situation. But circumstances are never ideal. Also note that everyone has their own ideal mindset. And for the most part, people are not going to want to sacrifice a lot or inconvenience themselves significantly. Yes, some eventually will, and we should definitely appreciate those people in our lives. But most people will opt for the path of least resistance. Now, that doesn't make them dumb, malicious, or lazy. It just makes them human. 4. Like it or not, there are people who are born more talented than you at certain things, and there's nothing you can do about it. No matter how hard you work or apply yourself, you will never be as good as them. Now, this is something every kid learns who isn't born with unlimited talent, i.e. everyone. Now, if you've ever been told that you can do anything you set your mind to, well, I hate to break it to you, but that's bullshit. Not to mention damaging to anyone who actually buys into it. The harsh reality is that nobody is born with unlimited talent. You'll never be as good as Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, or Warren Buffett, no matter how much you want it or how hard you work. Those individuals just have natural, God-given talent that they've worked to refine over the years. And you'll never match them, ever. No amount of magical thinking will change that. And the sooner you accept that, the less disappointed you'll be. 5. No matter what sort of relationship you have with your parents, they'll always affect you in ways you will not be comfortable with. Now, I consider myself very lucky. I have wonderful parents who did everything right to raise me. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And their effect on me continues to this day, long after I've moved away from home and built my own life. But I understand that not everyone is that lucky. Not everyone has good parents to influence them. Many don't even have mediocre parents. And that's tragic, frustrating, and more than a little discouraging. But whatever your situation, your parents and where you came from will affect you. You won't always like it, and you'll never truly escape it. And you can still make the most of your situation, but you can never be completely unaffected by your family or where you came from. 6. You will miss on a lot of opportunities that'll only become clear with hindsight, and that's okay. You need only seize a few of those opportunities to make things worthwhile. And this lesson is just a more elaborate way of saying that hindsight is 20/20. Looking back on it, we can all see the opportunities we missed. Maybe we missed out on a certain class or skill that we never developed. And maybe we missed out on a few major opportunities, be it a good job or investing in a company like Apple. Again, it's frustrating, and it's easy to kick ourselves for not taking a chance. But kicking yourself really never achieves anything. Because like it or not, you are never going to take that chance because you just didn't know. And that's okay. Nobody knows when they've encountered a major opportunity. And agonizing over it is rarely helpful. 7. Bullies, assholes, and idiots will get away with egregious misdeeds, and there's nothing you can do about it. As someone who dealt with his share of bullies, I hated this realization more than most. But sadly, it's painfully true. We all love seeing movies, TV shows, and books where bullies get what's coming to them. It's deeply satisfying and cathartic on so many levels. But sadly, the real world just doesn't operate like that. In real life, bullies will get away with what they do. Assholes, liars, cheaters, and grifters will find a way to succeed and escape the consequences for their actions. It is not fair. It is not right. But there's only so much we can do to change it. And most of the time, you just have to be willing to accept that. 8. People are tribal about many things, and there's no way around it. It's just how humans are wired. Trying to get people to see beyond their tribal affiliations is a losing battle, and one that'll only make people hate you. Now, this is a lesson that anyone who's ever argued with anyone on social media must learn quickly. Because human beings, by their nature, are very tribal. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's a big part of our evolution. We are all naturally inclined to form groups and tribes, be they a political ideology or a Pokemon fandom. You can think it's dumb, wrong, or misguided. You can even suspect it's damaging to everyone involved. You may even feel compelled to argue with them and try to convince them otherwise. But most of the time, that doesn't work. If anything, attacking someone personally will only make them retreat to their tribe even more. Just listen to anyone who's ever argued with a creationist. Like it or not, you're just not going to argue someone out of that tribal mentality. 9. You cannot change someone's mind by arguing with them or yelling at them. You can only appeal to them personally and hope that they'll come around. However, not everyone will. And this harsh truth is an extension of the previous truth. It's also something I think the internet and social media has made much more relevant. We are all so connected now. It's easier than ever to find new people, including those who believe things that you think are ridiculous. You may think they're hurting themselves and others by holding their position, and you may think you're doing them a favor by trying to convince them that they're wrong. It is indeed possible to change someone's mind, but it is not easy. And that process rarely involves yelling at them, arguing with them, or insulting them. Learning this lesson will save you a lot of frustrations, and it will keep you from making too many enemies. 10. At some point in your life, you're going to believe something that will make you feel foolish later on. Now, take it from someone who used to believe in a lot of dumb things like UFO conspiracies. You will fall into fads, trends, and toxic ideology. You will become convinced of objectively wrong ideas that will make you feel foolish later in life. It will be embarrassing, and other people will hold it over you constantly, and you'll hate them for that. But it's often unavoidable. It's even necessary at times. The key is learning from experience and always having an open mind. You also have to be your own harshest critic at times. That way, you're better able to discern substantive ideas from pure bullshit. And trust me, the most valuable tool that anyone can have in life is a good bullshit detector. Now, I sincerely hope that this list of harsh truths was helpful and insightful. And again, this list is likely to change and grow over time for me. I'm sure I have many other harsh lessons left to learn, and they won't become clear until I have the benefit of hindsight. But still, I hope this helps you. And if you have a list of your own harsh truths that you'd like to share, please do so in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. And thanks for joining me in my world. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, take care and stay safe.